6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, everybody? This is AJ Capasso here with Talking with the Source. I'm here with my girlfriend, Tammy Lee. Tammy, how are you, my love?
I'm good. How are you?
I am good. I'm good. So we have an awesome guest today. I'm so excited to have her on. It's going to be such a great topic that I haven't had, I don't think, a lot of people on the show of this topic. And I'm pretty excited to have her on. How about you?
Definitely. I'm super psyched for this.
So everyone today, this is Jasmine Bootle, and she is a divination specialist. Let me bring her forward. Hey, Jasmine, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Trying to switch the camera angle for us, but obviously it doesn't let me do that. Oh, here we go. Layout. There we go. Perfect. Oh, sorry, I got wrong person. There we go.
I can see
Okay.
how horrible I look, but that's all right.
Oh, you look fine. You look fine.
Sweet.
So, Jasmine, I wanted to first ask you if you could introduce yourself to our audience and tell us a little bit about yourself so that they get to understand a little bit about you.
Okay, so I'm Jasmine Bootle. I have a business called The Power of Three. It just goes along with some of my superstitions and the way I read tarot cards. But I have been drawn to divination and paranormal things since I was probably about 4 or 5 when I would experience things. And then I would find books about things. And then my mom finally bought me tarot cards when I was 13. And I've been reading them ever since for people. And I do palmistry. I do numerology charts. I use the pendulum, and I created a method called Induced Death Communication, where you communicate with a past loved one through the pendulum and the cards to be able to get information and answers that you seek. I kind of base my business around healing because it's kind of how I started it, was to heal after losing my father. So when people ask me answers with the cards, it's to try to help them, figure out, where they're going in their career, trying to help them find that kind of an answer. And then with palmistry and numerology, they're very much about your own personality and insights about yourself. And that's, if you're looking for that kind of thing, that's where that can help you as well. So it's something I've been drawn to and done, practiced, learned for a long period of time, and decided to turn it into something where I could help people. So that's basically, yeah, a little bit about me, I suppose.
That is absolutely awesome. There's so many topics that I want to start with, but which one would you like to start with? Tarot
It does.
cards, palmistry, whichever you like. Actually, you know what? I'll start with palmistry because I don't know too much about palmistry. I know a little bit, but I don't know too much. So, can you explain a little bit about it for people that don't know, like myself?
Absolutely. There is so much more to palmistry than what people think, right? People just think it's the 3 lines, like your lifeline. First of all, I read your dominant hand. You use it more often, so your lines can change, which it does actually happen in your life, and I'll explain in a minute. But you have your lifeline, your headline, and your heartline. Those are the 3 that mostly everybody knows of. Then there's the middle line that is your career line. And the more times it breaks, it is the more times you will change careers, right? Then there's things on your lines. And that's what I was getting to, is because you use your hands, you can have things right now. Like if I look at my hand, I have squares, which means you're going through some struggles in your life right now, which I am. And then you could also have islands, which means that like you're lucky. You can have the X on the middle of your hand, which I do, which means you're very intuitive. There can be a line under here called the Venus girdle. There's also the lines right here will tell you how many marriages you will have as well. You can have mounts under each part of your hand, and they also have different explanations about your personality as well. So, I just said a few things about like I said, islands and squares, but there could also be tassels. I'm trying to think of them all. There's all kinds of little things that go along with your lines. Like, see, like there's X's, there's breaks, there's just different things that also play into the story of your life when it goes along with your hand, right? Because even with your headline and your heart line, some people have them equal, meaning they think both logically and emotionally, so they use both, so they're kind of balanced. Then there's people whose lifeline or their heart line's longer, so they're more emotional. Headline's longer, they're more logical. But it also, the shape of the line also means different things. So if you have a straight heart line, it means that you're very nurturing. And if you have a straight headline, it means that you are very emotionally mature and logical. So there's a lot to it. And the mounts that you can have also have to do with parts of your life. Like the Venus mount is a very popular one. And if you have that, it means that you're somebody that people are attracted to just naturally. You know what I mean? And then there's
Mhm.
also like the Apollo mount, which means that you will be very successful. The Mercury mount, which means that you are very logical, which will help you in life. Like there's just like I said, there's quite a bit. Plus the shape of your hand means something too. Like I have air hands, right? Which
Mhm.
just means more of like what I like to do as a person. And there's earth, air, fire, and water hands, and they all have to do with your personality as well, right? And each finger also represents earth, air, fire, water, spirituality, right? So they all have all these different aspects to your hand that I write down when I do this for you so that you can look back and understand what I'm trying to explain to you because it's a lot of information all at once, right?
Yeah,
And a lot of different little details that you wouldn't think of, right?
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
I mean, I never even knew like there was that stuff like with the squares and the breaks and certain things like that. And I'm over here looking at my palm as you're saying it, like, oh
Right?
my God. Like I'm over here like, wait a minute, how many marriages do I got going on? Like, what's up? You know, so like no, that's so cool though. Like I always wanted to get into this and I never knew where to learn about it and how to really get into it.
The
And it's
best
very interesting.
I actually learned it from there's a woman on a group called Tipsy Cauldron who sells like instructional things, and I bought her instructional palmistry papers, and she tea stains them and everything, so they're beautiful, so they're nice to like put on your table if you're at a fair, just like a few of the pages because they're cool looking. But
Yeah.
I don't put out like how to or anything because I kind of don't need people to learn on their own, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's how I learned how to do that was just through buying something from her. It was so informational that I didn't know the same. Like I knew a lot about it from learning other ways, but I didn't know about the breaks or the tassels or the X or the squares, the islands, all that kind of stuff, right? So that was something new to me that I had to kind of memorize so that when I'm reading somebody's hand, I'm not looking at a piece of paper that I'm looking at their hand, right? It doesn't look
Yeah.
professional. So I had to memorize it, but it was definitely super informational. So I find sometimes like online you can like it I mean it only pays a little bit for that, right? So you can find ways to learn without buying those master classes that cost so much money, you can learn in other ways without having to spend a lot of money. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that is
It's
that is
interesting
great.
that you said that you read the dominant hand. Everybody that I've ever seen usually does the non-dominant hand, so I find that really fascinating that you do the dominant hand.
Because I said like because you use it more often, right? So
Right. I like that.
the
It makes
little
more sense.
things the little things can change just
Right.
because you work with that hand so much, and
Yeah.
it has more of your personality in it because you use it more often, and that's why I
Yeah.
read the dominant one, right?
Yes,
Mm,
absolutely, and I agree that makes much more sense.
Well, thanks.
yeah, no, that does, and that's pretty fascinating. I mean, how long did it take you to like really grasp all of this just for palmistry alone?
um, I already knew the basics of palmistry when I was 13. The book I had the with the tarot that I had learned, it had basics of palmistry and basics of numerology in it. So I knew the
Mm,
basics. So to grasp the more difficult stuff, it probably took me about 2 weeks to be able to memorize it all so that I could use it for when I had a fair coming up. So I had to make sure that I memorized it well because you're not allowed to take out your papers or anything, right? So it probably
mm,
2 weeks to like super memorize everything so that I could be able to tell you and write it down and explain it to you without having to look at a resource, right? But like I said, I did already have like the I knew what some of the lines already meant. I just didn't know about the other parts, like the mounts and the things on your lines and stuff like that. So there was the extras that I didn't know about, right?
yeah.
Right.
Wow, that is so cool. I never knew all of that about the palmistry stuff. And like I said, it really interests me a lot. And you opened my eyes to this, and I'm definitely gonna start looking more and more into it because it's very fascinating stuff. And anything with divination and paranormal and just spirituality, anything along those lines, I love to read, learn, and study, along with stuff with science as well to try and back up certain things in my paranormal experience and my journey. And there's a lot that correlates with everything together, and I love that. But for tarot, you said palmistry and tarot you got together, like you kind of came together with you together. So how does tarot play into that?
Player or it just was in the book.
Oh, in the building.
Tarot
Okay.
doesn't play into palmistry. Numerology does, but tarot does not.
Okay. So
Or
I
no,
should have
sorry,
said numerology.
palmistry does not play into tarot, but numerology does play into tarot for certain little extra things you can do with the cards besides just giving a reading, right? So there,
Hmm.
that's where there's a little bit of crossover, right? Same with astrology. I don't know a lot about astrology, but I know like the parts that go along with the tarot because I just studied tarot for so long that I guess I've just picked up on it, read about it. I don't know,
Hmm.
through other readings. I know a lot of other readers and stuff, so it's just through the community learning different aspects of it, I suppose.
That is absolutely awesome. That is great. Go ahead, Jamie.
Oh no, it is. It's absolutely fascinating. Like how many different kinds of divination there actually is. I mean, just learning about how other people read and how other people do things is, I don't know, just makes me want to learn more.
Well, I got lucky the last fair that I was at. The lady, she's like, "You look really tense," and gave me some free Reiki. I was like, "Thank you."
Wow.
It's
Awesome.
also divination as well, but I don't know how to do Reiki. And she's like, "You look so." She's like, "I can see it in your shoulders. Come sit down. I'll do it for you." And
Oh,
I gave her something that I had on my table. I was like, I'll give you this for that then, because I don't like to take things for free. So I gave her something.
right.
Definitely, definitely. No, that is great. Now, for numerology, numerology really fascinates me. And I'm trying to grasp it right now. And I grasp some of it. I don't really grasp all of it. Like life path number, or say, actually, I'll start with this. The day you were born, like say I was born on the 8th. Like,
That
like
would It's
Go ahead.
stupid. Like when you do the charts, your birth date, like, because I don't know why that's considered in the five core numbers, but your birth date, like, means nothing really. Like the answers that it'll say that it means is so silly. Like mine, I forget what it means, but it doesn't, it just is like, oh, it was warm that day. Like it doesn't make sense. I don't understand the birthday aspect myself. Um,
Okay.
I know that you have to use your full name and your birth date to create the rest of the chart, but your birth date number does like it doesn't have like a huge prevalence in itself. It's just used to be prevalent within using the numbers and the letters to create the other five core numbers that you would have, right? It's just the first one because it's your birthday, right?
Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. See, that's cool that you said that because I've heard a lot of different things with the birthday stuff, especially for like people who are born on the 8th or um, 26th or whatever other date that adds up to 8. They were saying like for money problems, like money issue stuff, like people at 8, people who are born on the 8th, like you're either gonna have a lot of money or you're gonna have, no money or never gonna be in the middle type stuff. So I kind of see what you mean by the silliness of how people take some silliness out of it and put it into that birthday type stuff.
Because
So it's
the
good that you said that.
because your life path number would be more of what gives you that information, not your actual birth date. By the way that I calculated and understand it anyways, right?
Yeah, no, that's
So
great. Can
yeah.
you explain a little bit about the life path and numerology a little bit more for us?
So there's five core numbers. Obviously, your birthday is the first one. Then there's your life path number. Then there is your destiny number, your heart's desire number, and your personality number. Now, your personality number and oh, what did I say? What was the second one? Oh my gosh.
Like path.
Um, no, not your life path. The one after that. Death or no, heart's desire and your personality. They so your heart's desire is kind of yourself that you show everybody. Your personality is kind of like a reflection of what you show people of yourself, but it's not like the full true aspect of yourself, right? So when it'll tell you that, what it tells you is the personality that you show people, and then your heart's desire will actually tell you what you truly, or who you truly are, what you truly want, not what you maybe project out into the world, right?
Mm,
Makes sense.
wow. Yeah. Tammy, you have
There,
any questions about it?
No, I mean, I don't know a whole lot about numerology. I mean, it's fascinating to me, but it's also really confusing because all the numbers.
well, you use it's like to do certain numbers. You actually use either vowels of somebody's name or just the consonants of somebody's name, or you use for the life path number their whole name, right? To add things up. You only use the birth date for, or sorry, for the life path number you use your birth date, and then the rest of them you use the letters of the name and consonants and um like, and for your heart's true desire you use all of the letters. That's where it's at, sorry.
Oh,
It's hard to
wow.
remember because there's so many little things with the adding it up, right? I don't
Right.
do it. I When I do it at a fair, I tell them I'll email it to them because it takes me so long just to calculate everything that I'm like, I don't want to make you sit here and wait for me to do this,
Right.
right? So I'll just email it to you. Or I've done it for my neighbors a couple times because they're into that stuff. So I'm like, oh, well, if you want, they were like, I'd really like to see what my numerology chart would say. So I was like, all right. They traded me bacon for numerology charts. So it's like, I
Hey,
think I came
that's
out
a
on
good
top.
grade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good trade. That is awesome. Hey, you can't go wrong with some bacon. You
I
know,
know,
Right.
that is
right?
great. That's a better form of payment for me than money because I'll probably just take the money and buy bacon. So I'd rather get the bacon, you know?
Well, it was really,
Okay.
really good quality bacon, so I was like, wow, thanks.
Wow.
I came out on
Oh, there you go. There
top.
you go. That's awesome. That's funny. So tell me, what is your favorite divination? Like, what is your favorite form of divination?
I would probably say tarot just because I know it so well. I like
Okay.
doing my death induced readings because I like to help people with grief, but tarot would be my favorite just because I know it so well that it's a little bit comes to me so much more easily that I don't get nervous or anything, and I enjoy being able to I it's almost like therapy, but I don't have to have a wall up. So I'm able to like tell people, a little bit about my real life to comfort them so that they can really actually focus on what they're asking and they don't feel like alone, right? So
Mm.
it can be a lot of fun and you can make a lot of friends doing it. Like I'm not saying clients are my friends per se, but I definitely keep up with them without doing readings on a regular basis. The first client I ever had a couple years ago, her and I chat, and she lives in Nigeria. I mean,
Wow.
I work for an app too, right? So I meet people from everywhere.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Oh, really? What, if you don't mind me asking, which one do you use
I use
to work with?
Bitwine. So it's called Bitwine. But you need to have I if you're going to use it, you need to have a laptop. If you're just going to get like if you want a reading, you can use your phone. But if you want to be a reader, you have to have a laptop. That's the only issue. But they take the least amount of commission and they allow you the most amount of control over your what you do, right? Like they're not up your butt like some of the other ones. Like I've
Yeah.
been kicked off
Yeah.
other ones for giving somebody my email because I was going to email them their reading and I got kicked off of it. I was like, well, that's not really fair. I'm just trying to give them their reading, but well, whatever, right?
Yeah. No, definitely. Now I want to go into what you've created to help with grief. I want to really dive into this because I think it's so fascinating how you added a couple things together, like you were talking and back to Tammy about. If you can go a little bit into what you kind of created.
So, induced death communication, I created it. First of all, I'll start with the backstory. My father passed away, and there's a lot of things my aunt did that were shady around the time he died and afterwards that I needed certain answers, or I just couldn't, right? Like
Mhm.
it consumed me at certain times, or it would trigger me even when people would say things, right?
Oh
Certain
yeah.
things, right? So, anyways, I seen a few mediums and they just couldn't get the answers. So one day I was watching a paranormal show where they were using a pendulum to ask if there was any spirits in the house. I took that and I used it in a more deeper way to ask if a specific spirit, like my father, was with me. And then to answer any yes or no questions, I would use the pendulum. And if you want messages or guidance, I use the tarot cards to go deeper into what you're looking for. Whatever it is that you're looking for, I will go with that, right? And if you're in person with me, I let you have control of the pendulum and
Oh,
the
wow.
cards, and I'll just explain it to you, just so you know that I'm not doing it intentionally. Do you know what I mean? Just for the legitimacy of knowing that you really are connecting with that person, right? So,
Yeah.
I've definitely seen like a lot of different like, people are very, very emotional, so you have to be prepared for that. I've definitely answered a lot of people's questions and I've taught a lot of people the technique as well. I'm actually set to teach a grief counselor this technique tomorrow to see if he wants to use it in his grief practices. So I'm trying to legitimize the practice so that it can actually help people because like I said, mediums, yes, they can answer things, but they can't pull things out of the air. With this will give you the answers to help you sleep at night, instead
That
of just
closure.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah, the closure, the moving on because it answers it for you, right? And like I'll talk to my dad if I'm stressed out or something bad's going on, And if I am not listening to him, the same cards will come up every time. I'm like, ugh, every time. He's like, you have to do this. And I'm like, I don't want to.
Yeah, yeah. Still being a dad on the afterlife. I love it, you know?
Beautiful.
That
Yeah.
is great. That is great. You know, I lost my dad too in 2020, so I totally feel your pain, and I'm so sorry for your loss. But it's
Yeah.
so great to
Same for
hear that
you.
you're able to communicate. Thank you. It's so great to hear that you communicate with him. I communicate with my dad through Spirit Box, and he comes through constantly. And obviously, it's not the same because they're not there. You can't hug them, you know, but at least you can get some form of communication to have that closure and comfort, you know.
Exactly. And that's the point, right? Like, you need some things are so left unanswered, right? And some things happen so quickly. Family turns ugly when people die. So
Oh,
there's so
yes.
much to unpack there for people that it definitely helps give them answers. Same like with what you use, it helps you to still feel them around, and it also kind of gives you that peace of knowledge that they're okay, and helps you let go of some of the resentments just because you can communicate with them, I think too, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that
Yeah.
that is, I really like the fact that you're having a meeting with a grief counselor to teach this. Oh my God, that's amazing. Like, I would love to see that go more, like, be more frequently used because it could help so many people.
Well, like, especially because I talk to people over the world, right? Like, there was a woman
Right.
whose father had passed. Like I said, she was from Botswana, and they didn't have the health care to be able to know what had happened. It was something happened in his brain, but they don't know. He died in his sleep, and we were able to answer what it was, which was a blood clot that exploded from what the answers we got. And he was able to tell her that through the cards and the pendulum, and she was able to have some peace and finally knowing what had happened to him, right? And that's why I do want to legitimize it as much as possible, because you can do it on your own. And it's almost, if you can do it on your own, if you know how to read tarot cards, it you can have that privacy with the emotional aspect, right?
Yeah.
So I want to, like, I'm trying to write like a small, it's not like, I just explained it pretty, it's not huge, like, it's not hard to learn, so I just want to write something that has an instructional guide, and kind of how to do it, how to make sure you're grounded, all that kind of stuff. But it's more like a pamphlet than I would say a book, right? It's just kind of a
Right.
how to help people. And in talking to that grief counselor, I'm going to see if he would be interested in helping me make a flyer, if he's interested in the idea, right?
I think that is absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. I
That
mean,
sounds awesome.
yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right, Timmy. I mean, it's that's going to help a lot of people, and to get on board with somebody like a grief counselor, to even get them interested in something like this, and to have someone with an open mind that's like that in that field is so great to hear. Because I know with my paranormal work, the whole point is to have science, you know, really look into this deeper and find out, you know, what is consciousness, what is energy, what is that we are, and all this stuff. And I feel like you are doing that in this form of divination, and I find that absolutely amazing because you're getting a breakthrough for divination that is really something that people aren't pushing for some reason. And I love that you're doing that. I think that's absolutely great.
I'm trying my best
Absolutely
because I don't
agree.
think anybody necessarily ever thought of it. It was just something that just, like, it was
Right.
like a light bulb over your head. Like, I think that people thought, like, because they do ask all the time if spirits are there with pendulums, but they never go any deeper, and I don't know why. But like, decided, well, I'm gonna go deeper, and I think that it's just sometimes it takes one person to think about it in a different light.
Absolutely.
Absolutely agree.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jan.
No, I was agreeing. I think it's perfect.
Oh yeah, I didn't know if you wanted to ask a question about it because I'm blown away. I think that's
I
absolutely the
mean,
coolest
I
thing
think
ever.
it's fascinating, and I hope to see it expand and be used a whole lot more. I really do. I'm fascinated by it, and I know, like, you know, we're all going to lose people that we love. It's, it's inevitable.
Yeah.
And to be able to have a way to get those answers to bring us peace and some sort of closure, and know that there's still a connection, because energy never dies; it just
Yeah.
transforms.
That's exactly how I feel about energy, right? So 100% it doesn't die. It just changes forms. Everything like grass is alive, for instance. Do you know what I mean? And that's
Absolutely.
energy in itself, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. I mean, energy is everything, and everything. And I always love the quote that Nikola Tesla said. If you want to find the secrets of the universe, study energy, vibration, and frequency. And it's something that I use a lot with paranormal and science-based stuff that I try to do with my paranormal to explain to skeptics or to explain to people who really don't have an idea of what the paranormal is, instead of just giving them a folklore type aspect of it and say angels, demons, and all this type of stuff
Mhm.
where they're probably going to be like, oh, that's a joke, and try to explain it to them in energy, vibration, and frequency. And they seem to grasp that a little bit more about it. So I find it really fascinating that, you are bringing this out into the light
Well,
because
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say, I once said to somebody, we see, like, I pointed at a tree and I said the only reason we think that's a tree is because somebody told us that's a tree. So it's the same thing with what you're saying with like energy and vibrations. It's people are like sheep in a way. We do what we like. This lamp, I was told it was a lamp, so it's a lamp, but it could not even be here for all I know, right? It's just perception that we're taught at such a young age, right? He asked
Mhm.
yeah,
me about why, but I was like, yeah, but still, right?
yeah,
Right. I
yeah,
like that
Like
way of looking
totally
at it.
different thing.
absolutely. So, what are some things that you have in the works for yourself besides what you're doing with this grief counselor? What are some other major things you have going on right now?
I have some other podcast guest spots until I start my what you call I would call it a holistic healing tour. I have about 8 shows that I'm doing. So I'm doing some guest spots to try to generate, or even I don't even always talk about divination. Sometimes I talk about like my life and struggles I've had in my life and stuff. I just am trying to get people to understand a few things because I like have been through a lot. So it's more of explaining myself and why I do what I do and how it does actually help you. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm just trying to get that out there while I have time before I start doing like my holistic healing tour, which is usually from like May to like July, and then I probably will write a book or something at that point. But right now I'm also a full-time student, so I can't take on too much or I will burn out because I have 2 kids as well, right? So have
God
to
bless.
do so much. I can't do too much. So
Right.
right now I'm gonna try to do what I'm doing right now is talk about myself, get myself out there, get people to understand who I am and what I'm about, and then go from there on to the next thing that's it's doing this the holistic healing like fairs and stuff. I follow a few companies. I like go with a few companies around the area and do different shows and stuff like that, and then I'll probably come back and either write a book or start my own podcast. I haven't figured out after I'm done like all of my stuff in July what I'm going to do next. But I'm thinking about doing like writing a book on tarot, like some how-to stuff, right? Because I
Yeah.
have a lot of knowledge and I want to work on doing that. I just need to find the time, right?
Have you
Yeah,
thought about
and
maybe doing some like classes?
I've already done tarot classes. I was thinking about doing some palmistry classes and
Oh, wow.
offering like a little 2-week course on the induced death communication. I have little ideas in the works. Do you know what I mean? I just haven't had time to fully put them out there yet because I got a little behind in school and I just had to pound that out for the last 3 days, right? So
Right.
sometimes it's just with kid gets sick things happen. So I have things in the works. I just haven't figured out how to fully plan that out yet, right? Like I have to, like I'm an Aries. Aries have too many ideas and they never finish them, but I don't want to be like that. So I have to see things through and go slow, not jump in, right? I have to logical.
Yeah. No, no, I totally feel you on that. I totally feel you on that. You know, it's I give you so much credit to be, you know, a full-time student, to have two kids, and to know all this knowledge, to have learned all this knowledge, and then to still be helping people and trying to teach others this and everything. I mean, you are doing so much already. I mean, and then to still have all these other things that you are going to do. It's just so fascinating that you even have the time to do one of the things, let alone all of the things you're already doing, you know? So I commend you on that. That is so great.
Well, I appreciate that. I have a lot of, I'm going through some struggles right now, so I throw myself into working on things so I don't have to think about the negative aspect per se. That's kind of how the business started in the first place because I don't want, like, I need to focus my energy on something positive opposed to something negative, right? So that's why I'd say I take on too much, but like that's why I'm doing so much right now, right? Because I'm trying to be positive and move in a positive direction instead of laying in bed all day being depressed, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. You know, I get a therapist vibe from you, like energy wise. Like I get a therapist vibe from you. Like you have a, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a, you have a lot of knowledge that can help many people get through many different things because of what you've been through in your life. And I feel like that is a big purpose for you in life, and I just feel that for some reason, and I see you really working it, and I think that that's so magical and something so great because a lot of people will stay, like myself, I'll get into a negative rut, and I will dwell on things like my father and stuff like that, or and how he passed and stuff, and I'll get myself, and I will, you know, maybe procrastinate or dwell on it, or you know, go lay in my bed like you said, and you know, be depressed or something like that. And to hear you talk about using your tools as a, you know, way to get yourself to make it into a positive instead of a negative, made a lot of sense to me in some of this work that I do, and how I should put my energy into that, you know? So I appreciate you sharing that knowledge with me.
Oh, no problem. It took me a while to get to that point. You know, I'm 30, I'm gonna be 37, so it took me a few years to get to that point, you know, and a few addictions. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm 36, gonna be 37 in June. So trust me, I've been there with you. I was addicted to opiates. I died 12 times, had a near-death experience that changed my life and got clean because of it. And I've been clean almost, actually this year will be 10 years. So
Oh, good
um,
for you. I've only
yeah,
got
no,
4.
that's awesome. Congrats. You know, it's not easy, right?
No, especially
Yeah.
opiates and the withdrawal. That's not fun at all.
No, no, it's not. I don't wish it upon my worst enemy, and I'm glad that I don't have to ever wake up sick again, you know. So, but I tell you, you know, it's amazing that these type of like negative experiences in our lives can bring us into such spiritual aspects of things. And I feel like I'm grateful that I went through my addiction, even though it was a horrible, horrible
I
experience.
kind of agree. Like,
You
yeah,
know, yeah, it's just I think it's so great that I went through it because I wouldn't be more spiritually grown than I would have been, I think, if I didn't go through it. You know, I think I still would have been that immature kid still, you know?
well, the same. I had an ego still, right? And then
Yeah.
having to walk into a methadone clinic really strips you of your ego, you know, real
Oh,
fast.
I know. Oh, I know. Trust me. Yep, you're right about that. Especially at my methadone clinic, we had our entire high school grade there. So it was like a whole high school reunion every time we walked in.
That's
And it
what
was
it's
bad.
still like for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That is wild. You know, it's crazy, and it's so wild that, you know, I happened to stumble upon you, and it's funny that you talk about, you know, we have similar things about addiction and certain things like that. I would have never guessed that because we didn't talk about that and stuff. So like I said, I appreciate that you shared that right now. But it's just weird how people get connected and brought into your life, and you guys have similarities that, you know, spiritually, that bring you guys together. And I think that they're so cool that it's how life works, you know.
I know, same. It's like all kind of happening in like that. Like I said, like with the opiates, it's like I was meant to have that addiction to be brought to a place where I can help people because otherwise I would have had the ego. And it's like life, even though that's a negative thing, still puts things in your life because eventually there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You just don't see it yet. And it's all working behind the works that you just don't know yet, right?
Yeah. And you know what the best thing for me that came out of it for me was is that I was able to now put my shoes in people who are struggling like in rock
Mhm.
bottom and know what it's like to be there
And
and
not
then
judge.
also know what it's like to have everything, you know? So it was like source or God, whatever we call him or it, it
Your higher
literally,
power.
yeah, higher power, there you go, and it's literally I believe that it puts us through these paths for a reason. You know what I mean? And like I believe that we grow because of this. And everyone obviously has their own life path. But I believe that, for people like us who have had these type of struggles with addiction and things, I believe it helped us kind of grow spiritually quicker in a
And
way.
open up more quickly, like
Yeah.
quickly, like be able to be less judgmental towards new things and people themselves, and be able to like listen to them instead of thinking somebody's crazy. You're like, well, maybe there's something to this. You're not sitting there with that ego that you once had, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't mind me asking, what helped you first with all the struggles that you're going through? Not now, but in the past too. What helped you? What divination tools have helped you the most through that? All
Probably
of them
reading
together?
reading my cards. I always read my cards, like because like I even see patterns with them if I'm not listening and stuff like that, right? So obviously I use the cards often to ask for guidance or my pendulum and stuff like that because it calms me down if I'm like super worried about something, and it'll give me an answer, and I'll ask several times just to make sure it's giving me the right answer because I'm so like "Uh," and
Yeah,
then or also it'll give me guidance and tell me which way to go about doing it if I need to accomplish something, right? Or it'll tell me you need to take more time to plan, or you know what I mean? Like it's a tool I've used it for guidance for a long time. Like it was kind of an obsession in high school. I don't do it nearly as much as I do now, like that, like then, but I definitely
yeah.
use it in hard times.
That is so great. That is so great. Now, for tarot, for yourself, what is the way that you lay things out? Like, what kind of layout do you use? What kind of way do you use them? Like, how do you go about it?
So I always pull three cards, no matter who I'm reading, what I'm doing. More than three cards, it ends up becoming contradictory with other cards. It ends up not giving you a straight answer. So I pull three cards. If you don't get enough information from those three cards of what you're asking, then we pull another three cards. It's just more clear of an answer if you pull three. So I've always pulled three cards. It's just everybody has their own way of reading, but my style has always been three cards.
That's your intuition telling you that's how you're supposed to read.
That's how I feel. Because
Yeah.
I try other readings. I'll do like New Year's readings for people, which is like a lot of work trying to explain 12 cards with your month and correlating it all, right? But like three cards are really good for answering people's questions because they cut right to the point, right? Even if they're not nice about it, they'll cut right to the point.
Yep.
Now,
Absolutely.
I always had this one question for tarot. I was always wondering, is there a certain way you're supposed to shuffle or just shuffle it regularly and then it just, spirit or whatever, just works its way through it? Like, how do you explain that?
So your spirit guide is the one that is giving you the answers, and you can shuffle however you want. I go to a university sometimes and read there when they're doing events. And this one guy, every time I go, he smacks the cards on top of each other. And I don't know how anybody ever shuffles cards that way. But it's like it sticks in my mind because it's hilarious to watch. You can't try not to laugh. But yeah,
Yeah.
you shuffle however you feel you want. You just have to basically be focused. It might not answer your question. It might tell you more about what you need to know than what your question is. So you have to be careful with that too, right? But shuffling them wise, there's no real way to shuffle them. You can do it however you want. Slapping them, I would not suggest, but
Yeah. Now I'm gonna remember
That's
that if I ever
interesting.
see someone doing tarot, I'm gonna start slapping the cards for sure, 100%. But just to remember this podcast, you know. But that is absolutely great. I wanted to ask you a quick question. If you were trying to find out if someone was your soulmate with tarot cards, would you still pull 3 cards?
yep.
Now, if you don't mind me asking this, would you mind maybe pulling 3 cards for me and Tammy?
Yep. You want
We've
to
been
know?
having a lot of synchronicities happen with this, and I just want to see what the cards had to say about this.
Yeah, now I'm curious.
You want to know if you're soulmates, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to use the pendulum and the cards. So the pendulum is saying yes, and it's going pretty hard. So, like, sometimes it doesn't even start right away, but it went right away to yes. So then we will see what the cards have to say. But I always, like I said, I do both to help give accurate answers in some ways, right?
Yeah.
Just to kind of back myself up.
No, I like that.
Absolutely.
Slap those cards. Come on.
This is how you do it. He literally go
Oh, I've
and
never
smack
seen
them.
that.
I know, and you're sitting there like trying to like focus, and you're like,
Yeah. I know.
now I'm popping the other side. When some pop out on their own, I keep them on the side just to see if it plays into it or if it was just an accident, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have the Page of Cups, which I think would represent AJ as a person, right? Because usually they like these human cards represent a person, and he's a cup, which has to do with love, right? So we're talking about love, and I think it's representing his deep love for Tammy. And then the Nine of Pentacles also will say that you guys will together will be able to be fight it like make some good money together. Like together you'll be a very good team in making finances like do you know what I mean? Like teaming up and doing working together, you guys will be financially very stable and it won't change who either of you are as people, but you'll still be well like so you'll make some good money together, but you're not going to change who you are, which also plays into the soulmate aspect, meaning that you guys won't change as people, which will keep you guys down to earth and together in that way. And then I have the World, which was the card that flipped out, and that has to do with wisdom and understanding. And I think what it means is that you guys understand each other on a different level and both share the same kind of wisdom and understanding. Like you both share that same kind of wisdom and understanding. So you understand each other and you share that kind of part of you that is looking into more and learning more and becoming more wise. And basically, it's saying together, you guys are kind of unstoppable. Like you do really well together. And that, I think, does mean yes, you're soulmates and that you guys together can create some really good things in your lives for each other. So that's
That's
what I
so
get
crazy.
for that.
It does. Is that not crazy what she just said?
That's
Because
wild.
that is wild. Because especially the last thing that you said with the wisdom and understanding that we have for each other, like we keep saying to each other every day, like like we have way too much in common. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's
Well,
just
that's
it's
what
like,
I meant. You could like read each other's minds almost, right?
oh my God, it's crazy. Like it's wild. Like I'll be typing the time and I'll see a synchronicity of like 222, and then she'll already have texted me and said 222. Like
Yep.
stupid things like that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's really weird that you said that. Like, and you're not the first person to say that, but it's amazing that the cards came out that way because that signifies so much more in my eyes, obviously too. But just all the synchronicities and the people that have came up and said, "Oh, you found your soulmate," you know, and I'm like, "How would you know that?" You know, and now you just kind of confirmed it with two things, and it's just great to hear
Yeah.
that. You know?
Wow.
So
Well, I'm glad that it like correlated because when I seen the cards, I was like, "Oh, this correlates so well." As it like, it also the fact that you already are a team. I feel like together you'll be able to put your head together and be with the wisdom that you do have and the understanding of each other create so much more because you understand each other. When people don't understand each other, they're going to clash with their ideas. Where you guys aren't going to do that, you're just going to flourish with your ideas, right? But like I said, also with the card that says you'll flourish financially, you'll still stay the same people, which will also keep you guys together in your relationship and still be that connected because you won't change, your ego won't take over because you have more money, right?
yeah, no, you're
It'll
absolutely right, and we were always telling one another that we are a team. You know, and that's
Yep.
so funny you said that.
It's
We
funny.
always literally tell each other that.
That we're a
Sorry, Tim.
team.
Go
We're a
ahead.
team. We're always saying that. It's funny. We're always saying, "Yep, no, no, we're a team."
That's why I said the
We're
cards
just,
will tell you what you want to. They'll tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. But at least they said something
I
good.
No, no, definitely. Thank you so
oh, it's
much for that.
amazing.
That
Thank
meant a
you.
lot. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Like I said, I enjoy reading the cards, right?
Yeah, no, and I appreciate you doing that for us. Really, I really, really do. And I really appreciate your time that you've given us coming on the show because you've opened my eyes to a lot of different divination tools and stuff that I'm going to start looking into and all that stuff. And I wanted to ask, I know you're busy, obviously, you know, you're going to do a lot of things this year. Maybe at the end of the summer or something like that, I would love to have you come back on and talk further about this when we have more knowledge because I'm going to do more research and into this myself, and I'm going to have way more deeper questions probably to ask, and I would love to have you on again if you would love to come on.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I love
Awesome.
this kind of conversation. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Tim, you want to ask
Awesome.
anything before we head out?
No, I'm definitely going to be doing some more research on on palmistry for sure. I'm really interested in palmistry.
Yeah.
I can actually email you all of those papers that I have that
That would
teach.
be amazing.
And that's how I learned. And that's how I got fired from that place because I was going to email her those palmistry sheets and they fired me. I have them all already on my phone, so I can just email them. I'll email them to him through
Okay,
our conversation already and stuff. Yeah.
perfect.
All right, cool. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
I appreciate you so much, Jasmine. Please keep up what you're doing. Please, before you go, please tell everybody where they can follow you at, where they can find you at, where they can come and see you at. Anything that you want to promote, please.
The best place to find me would be Facebook. I'm working on my YouTube channel. They're both my first and last name. And you can find me at the Holistic Healing Fair, working through Luna events and through all Canadian events throughout the summer, um, in different spots throughout Ontario, Canada. And if you want a reading that is one on one, you can contact me through Facebook or through my WhatsApp that's on my Facebook, and we can set up. I have Calendly, so you can book an appointment, and we can do virtual or we can do in real life, depending on location. And yeah, that's basically how you find me.
Thank you so
That
much.
is awesome. That is awesome. I cannot thank you enough for coming on. I mean, there's so many more questions I have. I can't believe this hour went by so quick
I
like this.
know.
I know.
It always does when we're talking about something very interesting, and I hate it
Right.
because there's so much more questions I'm going to have 5 minutes from now that I'm going to be emailing you about most likely, so it's like but I'll save it for the next show for sure. But I'll be writing down definitely some stuff, but I just want to say thank you so much, and I hope that all the stuff that you're going through and everything that you have gone through. I appreciate the person that you are, and I hope that you keep flourishing in what you're doing, and I look forward to seeing all your ideas come to fruition because you're going to do amazing things. I already know it.
Absolutely
Well, thank
agree.
you. And I appreciate you having me on, and I appreciate you also sharing your struggles with me and us being able to kind of speak on that a little bit as well. And, have that realness, I guess you could say. And it was just such a nice conversation. I really enjoyed being on and meeting you guys and, talking about what I do.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Jasmine. We
you.
really appreciate you. Well, until next time, we appreciate you and we love you, and you're now part of the Talking with the Source family. So anytime you want to come on, just let us know as well. If you want to come on before that time that we talked about, and just let me know, and we'll have you on anytime you would like.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, keep up the
Thank
great
you.
work. Seriously.
Thank you.
All right. Take care.
You too.
Bye. Hold on one sec. Let me switch us back here.
Okay.
So tell me, what did you think, Tam?
Oh my God. She's amazing.
Right?
Like all the way around, amazing. Everything that she's doing, all the help. Like I see her, like you mentioned that you thought she kind of reminded you of a therapist. I got healing, like a healer. So that's
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
And it's like she's like a modern day healer. And I think that's beautiful. All the things she's gonna do to help people with her techniques.
Yeah.
And then the reading? What?
Yeah. The reading is scary because, like, it's really scary because of like, okay, for example, for people who don't know at home, one of the synchronicities that was really strange is that we talked about how we were both punks growing up, and we always talk about things, and then we both have so much similarities. Like she would hang out at a skate park when she was younger. I hung out at a skate park when I was younger. I skateboarded. She rollerbladed and skated and stuff. And the funny part was she had purple rollerblades, and I opened my door during the conversation, and right outside my door was one purple roller skate,
Yep.
and I never seen that roller skate in my entire life outside my door. But during that conversation, it just appeared outside my door. Not a set of them, just one of them, and I have it right here. And it's just so crazy the synchronicities that have been coming up in our lives, and how everything has just came off this past year, and then this is just it's wild, and it just goes to show that this stuff is real. You know,
Absolutely agree.
so
That, oh my gosh.
yeah, that is wild. That is wild. I was
Definitely.
this was a great show.
Absolutely.
Absolutely,
I
absolutely.
look
Well,
forward to having her come back. That'd be awesome.
oh, absolutely. We're definitely gonna have her come back because there's so much more already that I want to ask, but it
Right.
stinks because I can't go over an hour with StreamYard because it's like it becomes such a big file to take off and do things that I learned the hard way. Can't do a Joe Rogan type podcast with 3 hours because it's even though I could do it, it's just I don't know if StreamYard would really be happy with me if I did it, but I wish
Right.
I could do it, but I tell you what, that's why I have people on multiple times because it's just something I find awesome because it gives you more time to think about more deeper questions instead of just having them on one big time.
Absolutely.
Well, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Talking with the Source. We greatly appreciate you guys supporting us, watching us. Right now, Talking with the Source is just on YouTube at the moment, just because we're going through a switch in our streaming service. Due to some of the things that prices have went up and just different aspects of what's going on in the streaming field. So we just want to say thank you to everyone who has watched and everyone who has commented as well that I just saw. Psychic Medium Rebecca. Hello, how are you? I hope you're still watching. If you're not, that's totally okay. But thank you so much for tuning in. Please feel free to contact us if you're a psychic medium, and we would love to have you on and talk to you as well. That would be amazing. We really appreciate everyone though, and we thank you guys so much for watching Talking with the Source. You can also check us out on Spotify and all the podcast listening platforms. But until next time, I'm AJ Capasso, and I'm with my girlfriend, Tammy Lee. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye.
Bye.